I am socially awkward.
You are?
Yes, I'm extremely shy. I'm not comfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
My favorite day is like being in my pajamas, watching reruns of Twilight Zone.
Really?
Yes.
What's your favorite Twilight Zone episode?
There's one where they put on the mask and it fits the personality of everyone, and then they take off the mask and it's no longer a mask, it's their actual faces.
What does that mean to you?
We all wear a mask every day. We wear a mask of being a parent. We wear a mask of being an employee. But sometimes if you keep that mask on, you forget who you are and you take on the characteristics of the mask.
As a candidate for New York City mayor, Eric Adams leaned into his working class upbringing and former job as a police captain to pitch himself as a leader who truly represented voters and would restore stability to a city reeling from COVID on a human and economic level.
And I said to them, I'm the mayor.
His message resonated with voters, anxious about the pandemic and a spike in gun violence. Here was a moderate Democrat who pledged to be a friend to unions while tacking to the right on police reforms in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder and the NYPD's often violent response to protests. Now, more than 2 years into his term, Adams' approval rating has plummeted. While he points to his record of what he calls getting stuff done, he's had more success in getting voters mad, with a homelessness crisis, billions in budget cuts, hundreds of millions in police misconduct payouts, and a widening federal corruption investigation that saw the FBI seize his phones and raid the home of his chief fundraiser. So I spent the day with Adams to learn more about how he thinks about these challenges and his vision for the remainder of his first term.
This administration is going to be a retrospective appreciation administration. We already got that. We understand.
Is that how you're abiding the kind of negative interpretation of some of what you're doing right now? Because your approval ratings, they kind of suck right now.
But it's supposed to. It's supposed to.
You were
because
at,
I'm doing
60% in the first year.
I'm doing
now
hard stuff.
You're down to 28%, which is not just a historic low for you, but for any mayor in the history of that survey.
Right.
So,
but what mayor has dealt with COVID and 177,000 people dropped into this city without any federal support. Mm-hmm. These are hard decisions. And so I would rather people say, we're going to take it out on you, Eric, so I can navigate us through this. Yeah. It's my responsibility. I'm the mayor of the city. And I don't sit back and say, oh my God, my poll numbers are down. No, people are going to look back over this and say, this guy managed us through the crises. Because the legacy is not what people think of you while you're there, is what people look back. When you compare what I have done to any other mayor in the history of this city, people are going to see what I've done. New Yorkers are angry. And so when you're angry, who you take it out on? The mayor. That's the script.
Are you Eric Adams? Yeah, you.
This guy's giving me a New York wave, you know? I can walk down the block, some give me the thumbs up and others give me another finger, you know? But that's New Yorkers, you know? I wake up in the morning at some time and look at myself and I give myself the finger. I'm immune to hecklers. I've been heckled all my life. Okay, see you later. We'll have a few disruptions as we go on. All my haters become my waiters when I sit down at the table of success. Thank you. She said I'm messing with homeless people. You know that? You know, one should be happy if someone wants to make love to them.
While many issues that land at Adams' feet are local, from public schools to crime to housing affordability, one of his biggest challenges has come from far outside the city's borders.
They arrive with almost nothing. Migrants bust from Texas to New York City and Washington, D.C. by order of Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
It comes 2 days after New York City Mayor Eric Adams rejected Abbott's offer to him and the D.C. mayor to come visit the Texas-Mexico border.
They just packed him on a bus without any direction. They just specifically targeted New York, they being the governor of Texas.
So how did you learn that was happening?
At 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm getting a call saying, hey, Eric, we got 5 buses in here with people that need to have a place to stay.
And no warning?
No warning. no information,
So
no
what do you do?
communication. We had to step up to the plate and deal with it because our laws require. So now,
Where were you when you got this call?
probably in the bed and laying down, get ready for the next day. Now think about this for a moment.
Yeah.
So 177,000 people come here.
Mm-hmm.
You Miss Jones and you're struggling, to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you see people show up and you say, hey, Mayor, stop the buses. I
Right.
can't, it's against the law.
Right.
Hey, Mayor, deport the people. I can't, it's against the law. Hey, Mayor, don't feed them and house them. I can't, it's against the law. Hey, Mayor, this person committed a serious felony. He should be deported. I can't, it's against the law. So New Yorkers are saying, Mayor, why are you doing this to us? Not knowing the laws prevent me from doing anything but house, clothe, feed, educate.
If those were not the laws, what would you do?
A combination of things. Number one, if you commit a serious crime in this city, you would be turned over to ICE and you would be deported. It is a luxury to be in this city and in this country, and you would not bring your criminality in the process of doing so. Overwhelming number of migrants want to come here and take their next steps on an American journey.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I would let them work. What is more anti-American than telling people you can't work? All of our ancestors that came here from somewhere, the reason we are where we are is because they had the right to work.
Mm-hmm.
My food service workers are needed. My nurses are needed. My lifeguards are needed. How do you put someone in a position and tell them you cannot survive for the family? That is unacceptable to do so. And that mere part of letting people work would be a game changer in this entire migrant asylum seeker process.
Do you blame Trump for any of this?
No, I think that what I blame Trump and what I blame the national leaders, we need real, true immigration reform.
But you don't see any through line between Trump's rhetoric and his policies and his administration and what Governor Abbott decided to do?
No, I think Governor
Really?
Abbott. No, I think Governor Abbott's actions were his actions. I think President Trump's actions, of even when we did the Muslim ban, I thought that was wrong. And I think his behavior and comments about it were anti-American, as I believe Governor Abbott's actions are anti-Americans. But we can't let our national elected leaders off the hook. There are things we can do right now that can resolve this issue, properly funding this. We should not be spending $12 billion because Ms. Jones, again, she see cuts in her library services. She see cuts in her after-school program.
Those are your cuts, though,
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because I have to find $12 billion from somewhere.
So if libraries are closed now on Sundays because of those cuts, I mean, is that fair to then be spending $12 billion to help people who were bused here when kids who are here, whose parents pay taxes, can't take
No,
the
it's-
library on a Sunday?
No, it's not fair, but that's the law.
Yeah.
I can't break the law. The law tells me you are going to house, feed, clothe whoever comes here from anywhere on the globe for as long as they want it. That's the law. Either I break the law, and if I break the law, I can be sanctioned as a city. I can receive daily fines. Legal aid took me to court several times around this issue. My 30-day programs of saying you only stand in our care for 30 days, and then you have to be self-sustaining. I was sued around. I was sued for around not having someone in a bed at a certain period of time. So I'm in court defending what I believe we should not be using city resources on a national crisis.
While many connect New York's recent influx of migrants to the actions of Governor Abbott, those sent from Texas account for a relatively small part of the nearly 200,000 total who've arrived in the city since the spring of 2022. Today, the city's shelter system houses around 65,000 migrants. That's on top of the non-migrant homeless population, which has surged in recent years.
So the economic recovery post-COVID has not been perfect, right?
No, it has not.
Homelessness is a big problem. Child homelessness. Was it 1 in 4 children?
Right. Poverty, living in
Living in
poverty,
poverty
right.
now. Can you talk a little bit about that and how the recovery has been uneasy?
First, I think it's so important to look at what we inherited January 1st, 2022. Not only did we inherit COVID, unemployment was a real problem. Private sector jobs were tanked. All of those things. Now, 2 years later, 2 years and 2 months later, people back on our subway system, as I stated, 4.1 million people, more private sector jobs in the history of the city. 62 million tourists coming to our city. We propped up permanent programs with temporary dollars. The sunsetting of those stimulus dollars, it created this rush of, instead of having those programs in place, we would have traditionally been able to say, okay, we're gonna manage those closing like what we're doing in some of the after-school programs, Summer Rising. But added on that, we had 177 migrant asylum seekers. That's costing us $12 billion.
Right. Can you talk, what have your discussions with the White House been like?
10 trips.
10 trips to Washington?
Yes.
And what's that like when you go there?
Explaining the urgency of the moment. And
To the president or to who?
I had conversations with the president early on. We had 2 conversations around this.
What do you think of him?
Listen, I think Biden has done an amazing job. President Biden, has done a great job. No one thought our economy was going to survive. We're coming back in our economy. He was extremely helpful around public safety.
So all of this seems...
Who says it's time to bounce?
In spite of the low approval ratings, there was no shortage of New Yorkers scrambling for selfies outside of the coffee shop where I met with Mayor Adams.
You got it, man. Flip it over.
And as a politician who makes policing his primary issue, it never seemed far from his mind.
Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step. That's New York welcoming. Watch your step, man.
It's not often you get a picture with the mayor. Thanks for
All right.
visiting us.
Take care. Okay. Take care. Have a good day, man. All right, brother. Sometimes, you do some stuff and my team will cringe. They're like, oh my God, I can see the headline tomorrow, But if I try to be who people want me to be, I will never be myself. If I want to wear my earring, I'm going to wear my earring.
Are you the only mayor in history with an earring?
That's a great question. I'm probably I'm not the only mayor in New York City who's bald-headed and black. But people are looking for authentic leaders. They're not looking for perfect leaders. Because none of us are perfect. And so, I just think that people have shifted in their needs. Because they're no longer listening to you, they are feeling you.
Right.
They don't want to know what you're saying. It's like, what am I feeling that's coming through when you're in a room with me, when I'm seeing you at an interview, when you're walking the streets. And that is just where we are right now.
So the authenticity thing is sort of like just a vibe level thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that
Right.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Like I'm a Wim Hof guy. I do a lot, the whole cold baths.
You do the cold plunge for the health benefits or for mental?
Combination.
Yeah.
If someone would have told me that, Eric, you are going to be taking cold showers every morning, I would say you out of your mind.
So you get into like a meditative state when you do it? Or,
It's just a peaceful state.
Yeah.
When you get into the shower and it's cold, the first thing you do is what? You hold your breath.
Yeah.
Instead of just breathing. Just allow, the breath work. And when I found, after listening to him, and say, don't fight it. Just go into it. Enjoy the beauty of the cold water.
Right.
It helps you understand your mind is more powerful than what we realize. And it teaches you that you are the controller of your body. Your body's not the controller of your mind.
And so do you apply that to any situation where you have to experience discomfort or pain?
Think about it. Think about the role of being the mayor of the city of New York.
Well, tell me about it.
You are, anything bad that happens, you are blamed. Guys stop me and say, I'm getting divorced. It's your problem. You know what I'm saying?
Is it ever your problem?
It won't even matter. When you're the mayor of a city, you are the closest to the concerns that people have. And when you're the mayor of a city like New York, 8.3 million people, 35 million opinions any given day, you are going to feel a brunt of everything. So all of these things are happening at once. And you have to be able to say to yourself, listen, discomfort comes with the job. If you wake up every day hoping that you don't have discomfort, 5:30 this morning, I get information about someone being shot on my subway system that I want to make safer and that we're getting riders back on. You have to be ready for that every day. Every day I know when I wake up and I finish my meditation and my breathing and my smoothie and I start to look at the communications, I'm dealing with some form of crisis that has happened.
According to the Adams administration, gun crime and homicides have decreased during his tenure, but several violent incidents on subways, along with persistent poverty and homelessness, have undermined his efforts to portray the city as safer.
We felt many years of disorder and chaos in our subway system. We felt that. We saw encampments. We saw people with severe mental health illnesses, high-profile cases. We have over 4 million riders a day, with about 6 felony crimes that take place on our subway system a day. Think about that. 4 million riders, 4.1, 4.2, 6 felony crimes a day.
But if you're the victim of one of those 6 crimes, I'm sure
Without
you
a
don't
doubt.
think it matters.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why my job is to get rid of those 6 and to create an atmosphere when you're in the subway system, you're seeing the omnipresence of a police officer, because you must feel safe.
To many, the omnipresence of police, later joined by a deployment of several hundred heavily armed National Guard troops, created an atmosphere akin to a war zone. Civil rights groups called it over-militarized and an overreaction.
I'm curious, that strikes me as the type of policy decision that's made out of fear, right? That's made in kind of a gut reaction to something terrible and traumatizing that happens in the city.
Right.
And I think you see that a lot in government. You could look at the federal government and say that the creation of DHS is an example of that after 9/11, right? So how do you think about creating policy in the middle of real world events? And how do you, I guess, do you ever think about making sure that you're not being overly reactive to things that have just happened?
It is extremely challenging, particularly in the political environment, because if something is happening, like you get a Michelle Go type incident, young woman, successful financier, pushed on the subway track by a person with mental health crises. If you were to become deaf to the call of the public and say, that was one incident, I'm not going to respond to it, that's a dangerous scenario. So you have to, what you want to do is you want to put in place policies that are going to be smart and long lasting. So when we looked at what happened there, we did an analysis, we stated we have too many people with severe mental health crises who can't take care of themselves and they're in danger to themselves. So we put in place an involuntary removal to hospital for necessary care. We built an infrastructure around that. We got a lot of pushback. A lot of people said that people who are dealing with severe mental health illness should be allowed to walk the streets. And I said no to that. The policy we put in place around involuntary removals was to make sure that it's a real policy and not a symbolic policy. We want to give people the care. I could easily remove you and just shut you in somewhere, but no, I want to remove you and I want to give you the care and wraparound services. So in that response to the needs, you must make sure you have policies that are real substantive in nature. Because being mayor is being symbolic and substantive.
It seems like crime is an area where conservative principles sort of go out the window. Typically, you have conservatives talking about small government, liberty, not denying people their freedom, their rights, right? I mean, in theory, in a perfect form of conservatism, philosophically, that's what you're talking about. And then when you're talking about crime, nobody seems to care about denying people liberty or, trading safety, right? So how do you think about, you're talking about putting cameras in the subway cars. You're talking about having police in there monitoring things. You're talking about locking people up who have mental health problems. How do you weigh liberty versus security?
Public safety is our prerequisite to prosperity. I say that over and over again. I have a lot of one-liners, you know.
I've noticed that. Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time coming up with them, or they come naturally?
No, they just flow. You know, we have to be safe.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to compromise on that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are idealistic, but I am realistic about what it takes to be safe in a city.
You were talking about waking up to some terrible news about a shooting, and then you were talking about the kind of energy having migrants in the city, or all the different facets of life here and challenges. Mm-hmm. Are you someone who absorbs the emotions of other people, or how do you process all of the vacillating emotions of the people around you?
That's a great question. As much as we don't want to acknowledge it, vicarious trauma is real. Mm-hmm. And as a city employee, all day, every day, you are feeling the pains of people. And so if you're an emergency room doctor, every day you're coming in, you're experiencing the trauma of people. You know, I'm the mayor. It's my job to keep them safe. As a police officer, I just had to worry about my beat. As a captain, I just had to worry about my precinct. But now as the mayor, I have to worry about the city. And, you know, there are days that you're saying, you know, did I drop the ball? Did I miss something? Could I have done it better? And you have to really understand that, you know, are you committed? You know, I've learned that I have one responsibility: do the best I can. Get up every day. Don't shortchange New Yorkers. You can lie to people, but you can't lie to yourself. At the end of the night, you know, when I'm on my knees praying, I ask myself, did you do the best you can today?
What do you normally say?
Damn right.
Have you ever felt like you didn't?
I leave everything I have.
Not a single day where you were like, I could have handled that a little bit better, or...
There are days I say I could have handled it better,
yeah.
But it wasn't because I wasn't trying to do the best I can.
Right.
I can only do the best I can. New Yorkers are going to have a mayor that gave them every ounce. I think of the great one, Wayne Gretzky, when he lost his first Stanley Cup. And he went into his locker room. They were all arguing with each other. And then, being the gentleman he was, he went into the locker room of the opposing team. And he stated that he saw them all laid out on the benches. It was quiet. They left everything they had on the ice. I'm going to leave everything I have on the ice.